Oh, okay. Well, I just started recording. That's what it is. Sorry, I was struggling trying to figure out what my thing was, and I guess when the habit starts, it just comes natural. But yeah, sorry. Okay, off subject, but on subject, but off. So, um, yeah, we long hair and don't care and whooping ponytails here. I like it on this side. But hi all, hi y'all. It's your girl Kristeanna back again with another tweet full week. And what we're gonna be talking about today? Well, we're gonna be talking about pay attention to your intuition, because a lot of us don't really, know, trust, or abide by our intuition that we've been given naturally. Yeah. So this is when you have. I feel like we just to define what we're going into a little bit. I feel like your intuition is kind of like your higher self. Sometimes we don't always know who our intuition is, what our intuition is. We go by the gut feeling, but sometimes it's like a small, still voice, the Holy Spirit, the God that lives within us, source that lives within us, divineness that lives within us each. The the thing that gives us life. Okay. So that higher power, that bit of light seed that's within us, and this is gonna go into a little bit more like spiritualistic and beliefs a little bit, but everybody's gonna be able to apply this depending on how I don't the it's gonna depend on how you see things and how what your religious background is, but it's still applicable to majority and a variety, and if not almost everybody. As far as these ones go, take what you need, leave what you don't, but it's still gonna be planting seeds. So, but all in all, let's get into it. Let's get into it. Had to pick up the notebook. All right, so I wanted to talk about inter-spiritualism. These are terms that I coined because sometimes when you don't have the words to say things, there's not really words out there for them. You gotta kind of make words, but I'll explain what they mean. Okay. Yeah. Inter-spiritualism is like, being in touch with your spiritual side, in tune. It's internal. Exo-ritualism is like external. It's about the rituals, the things you do on the outside to practice your spirituality on the inside. And some people, I'm realizing, the reason why I'm bringing up these two concepts is because some people tend to lean. I notice that there's some people who are equally in both, but for the most part, you're gonna tend, for the most part, to lean one direction or the other. Most people tend to lean left or right on the spectrum. Some people go towards more ritualistic practices, and that's how they express their spirituality. Other people go towards, like, it's an internal thing. It's a connection. It's an internal connection here, and I mean, and it's always going to be a combining of both. But depending on your characteristics, depending on how you relate to your power, your source. I believe in God, my Holy Spirit, but depending on how you relate to who is your higher power, you're gonna tend to do one or the other for the most part. And that's just kind of like human nature. But yeah, so the reason why I'm bringing those two terms up is because they're gonna be important through this conversation. And I'm not gonna so much say them as much as it's gonna be you're gonna kind of figure out who you are in it, which one you tend to do. But one thing is you want to learn to trust your intuition, but how I explain it is like the godlight inside of us. There was this science, I wish if I can find it, I have to link it. But there was this scientific study that said that when a woman gets pregnant, there's a flash of light that happens when she conceives. And that flash of light is, I feel like that's source. It's God light. That's the Holy Spirit. Like the little old church song of "This little light of mine." That little bit. That's the thing that gives us life. That allows us to be breathing, living, free. Like a free will is a thing that separates us a little bit from the light. Is our free will that makes us unique to our own selves, but everything living in us starts with that, kind of like the Big Bang Theory, but imagine it in the womb. The Big Bang Theory in the womb, but you still had to have the two particles, which is the egg and the seed, to make it do what it do. But yeah, so imagine that, but in the womb. Imagine the womb's the universe, and the empty space and the Big Bang. You know, so all in all, yeah, your God light is, and some people may call it the Holy Spirit. That might be a better term for them to identify it as. I don't use that term. Like I said, I'm Christian, so I believe in the Holy Spirit, but I don't use that term for a reason, because it's gonna go. There's a reason why I don't use the term. It's not gonna. I feel like the Holy Spirit is the Holy Spirit. This is something different. But the best way to explain it is, for reference, if you have no reference to go off of, is to use that. But yeah, the thing that just allows us to be alive. I'm not even talking about free thinking. That's our free will. The thing that kind of gives us our individual characteristics and everything like that, our soul. But the thing that just allows our soul to exist is the godlike theory. So, great spirits, Holy Spirit, God, all that stuff. And you do, when you are learning your intuition, because that's another thing too, and this is the journey that I'm still on. I'm still on this part, but this is very important. You have to learn your individual intuition. You have to familiarize yourself with it. And the best way to do that is to test it. And that's actually a biblical principle too, test the spirits. But test it. And sometimes it's like when you feel that gut feeling, or you hear that small still voice, or that tiny thought in your head that most of the time don't listen to, and it's like, usually if you're in a quiet space you can hear it more. When it tells you to do something, or sometimes it comes out as a clear voice, a clear thought, sometimes even an audio voice. It's some people, I'm not saying you hear things, but you might thought you heard something. But test it. When it tells you to do something, just, and it's not anything crazy that's going to hurt you or anybody else. Say if it's something like, oh, move that to the left, this little bottle to the left, a water bottle. Do it. See if something happens to it. Maybe something fell later on, and because that water bottle didn't have a lid and was moved to the left, it didn't spill and ruin the project. But the thing that fell was easier to clean up. Maybe it tells you to go into your room, and maybe you were looking for something, so you're like, oh, I'm just gonna go into my room, and you were looking for something, and then you turn over and there it is. So it's like, listen to it. It's like I said, make sure it's not saying anything crazy that can hurt you or anybody else, because then that's the case. We dealing with a different problem or a different thing. We're dealing with something different, and don't give that space. Seek help for that. But if it's like little small things like that, test it. Follow the instruction for it, and just see what comes of it. And if you got to kind of build your case study with it for a while, do so. Treat it like a science experiment. Make your theories, your hypothesis, all that. Treat it like that, and until you have enough sufficient evidence to be like, that's my intuition. That I trust. It's proven itself. It has proven itself and shown itself approved multiple times. I can trust that. That's something that I can get with. So that gut feeling or something that maybe you hear, like, thought you heard of something talking, but there's nobody around and said to move here, do that. Or if you thought a thought, just try it. Just try it. And when I say you heard something, it may, like, when you thought you heard somebody call, but there's no one around. It's like, oh, and it could have been like a little voice, like, ha, like, ha. So your name is Amber. And you're like, did somebody call me? And you don't see nobody. And I'm not saying you actually hearing things, but I guess it is still hearing things. But you're not crazy. And you're not crazy. I'm not calling nobody crazy. But yeah, all in all, just test it. Always test it. So that part, and checking the notes. Hold on. So yeah, it's that little tugging, that little urge. Follow it and see where it gets you. 2 rules: not hurting you, not hurting anybody else. And then because you want to learn that feeling, you want to learn it, because it could, that head voice, that audio voice that comes with it. Take notes, mental notes, physical notes, whatever you need to do, because it could give you valuable lessons and peace of mind. So you want to definitely take notes if you can, whether you can take mental notes or you can take actual notes. Like I said, treat it like a study. If you treat it like a study, then it won't feel so it won't feel so mystic. Just treat it like a study. You're learning yourself, your higher self. And the God light is also your higher self. You're learning it. You're getting familiar with it. You're familiarizing yourself with it. You're getting used to it. So that way, when it gives you instructions, you know the voice. You know what it is. You can recognize it because you've been in relation with it. And a way that when you're studying these things, the way that you know that it's a good thing for you, because if anybody who's into spirituality will know that there's even energies or whatever you may think of it. There can be good, there can be bad. So to know that it's something that's serving you and not underserving you, you want to make sure that it possesses these kind of qualities. So it's gonna possess like faithfulness. Like you're gonna be able to, the faithfulness with it. You're gonna be able to trust it. You're gonna be able to be faithful to it because it's not gonna let you down. Anytime that you have followed it, it's not gonna let you down. It's not gonna lead you astray. So even if it doesn't happen to prove itself right there in that moment, there's gonna come a moment where you're gonna remember it. You're gonna be like, that never left. I followed that feeling and I was right. Example of this would be that for me, I don't dislike people. I just don't. I don't hate people. That's probably the better way to say it. I don't hate people. In a sense of just actively hate someone. That's a lot of energy. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of dedication that I just don't have. So I just don't take my time to hate people. But I don't have too many moments where when I meet somebody, like, and I'm just like, if we're not somebody who can be in the same proximity, then I'm just not gonna be bothered. I can love you from afar. I just know that we are two types of people that just don't mesh well together. We are oil and water. So I will accept that and move on. Now, if I gotta deal with you, I'm gonna be as cordial as possible. But I don't really, if I'm oil or I'm water and they're the opposing party, I'm not gonna do a lot to be around them. A lot. But all in all, and like I said, I'm gonna be cordial, and I'll take, if I can't stand it, I'm just gonna leave. If I can't take it, I'm just gonna leave. It's not my environment. I'm not gonna sit there and try to tell somebody about themselves, because not everybody is ready to hear what they need. There may not be. I feel like I'm not gonna waste my time all the time on a lot of speech. It's going to be for whoever's going to be for. If they're ready for it, they're going to hear it. I'll do enough to plant a seed and I'll move on. If you ask for more, I'll give more. But I'm not going to volunteer it if we're kind of like, if I feel that we're just not meshing well. All in all, so there was this person that I met, introduced by a really close loved one of mine, and I just was not feeling it. I was not feeling it, and I don't get that. I don't get that. Now, there's been another incident that happened, and I'm more in tune with what it is now. But I don't get that often. I don't just not like people. Just with no basis, no reason, no rhyme. But if the way I can explain it now is it didn't sit with my, like the old church would be like, it didn't sit with my spirit. It didn't sit right with my spirit. That's probably the plainest way to say it. But it was just like, I didn't know why I like this person. I just didn't like them. I'm like, that's not me. But that was weird for me. It was out of character. I'm like, I'm just not liking you and I don't know why. And I can't put my finger on it. And I think but I don't feel wrong for not liking you, and I don't know why, and I could not figure it out. So turns out later on, like everybody was like, you gotta be nice to this person. It's just the right thing to do, and blah, 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 blah. All in all, I kind of was like, so my guard went down. That intuition was like, no, not for you. Not a good person. Rejected. And I was talked into being nice, being accepting, being this, being that. So my guard went down. Turns out sometime later, my gut feeling was correct because that person ended up hurting the person who introduced us very bad and in a very bad way. And I was just like, intuition knew. Intuition knew. So the more you're going to be able to trust it, be faithful in that because it doesn't let you down. It's faithful to you and you can be it to its guidance. Another way to know that, to test your intuition, to see because you have to think about your intuition as a person. Another character that it will embody, just like people embody characters, is love. And I did a T for the week. I'll put it here for V-Day, Love Day. I'll put it there. And love is an action. Love is something you do. And it's gonna protect you. It's going to keep you. It's going to be comforting to you. It may not always feel like in that moment. Sometimes, like I said, it'll give you instant gratification. I know, a little light thing. They'll give you instant gratification. And let you know, like, hey, don't turn down the street. And then later on you find out there was like a terrible car accident that had you been down that street in that exact moment, you would have been caught up in. Sometimes it can give you that instant kind of gratification. Or sometimes it's like, again, long term, it proves itself to you. But all in all, it's the concern for others and seeking good for all people, no matter what. So it's gonna seek good for you, those that you love and are connected to. It's gonna it might even give you the gut feeling about, again, like I said, for me, it was me protecting the person I love. When I had that dislike for that person immediately after meeting them, which was rare and out of character for me. But it's really gonna seek the good for you and all those who are for you and connected to you. Another characteristic that it's gonna prove your intuition, it's gonna be self-control, discipline. It's gonna be that thing that tells you, don't eat that bar. Don't eat that candy bar again. Because you trying to get to your best body. You're trying to get to your best body. It's going to be that thing that kind of guides you, whether you knew it or not, on not doing certain practices that you used to do or certain things that you used to do so that you can move on to the next level of your life. It's really going to root you and plant you firmly so that you can have the best environment and the best soil to thrive in. It's going to give you deep roots so you can get the most abundance and thriving from nutrients in your environment. And it's going to make sure that it's going to guide you into the right direction to practice rooting, staying firm, being planted, not doing just anything and everything, really controlling yourself. Another thing it's going to do is peace. It's going to give you peace. It's going to give you peace of mind. When your intuition tells you something, when you test these voices, another characteristic it's going to have is that when you follow that small still voice, that small little whisper that you may hear, that it's like a gentle comforting whisper if you do hear it audibly, or that gut feeling, it's gonna bring you harmony in your life and even in how you deal with others in your environment, because this intuition is also helping creating a sufficient environment for you to thrive. It's gonna be kind, not nice. There's a difference between nice and kind. Okay, nice is is what you do to help other people's egos and your own. Kindness is like, even if it doesn't serve their ego, it's going to help them grow and deliver them to their best self. Even if it's a small seed planted, a small step taken that gets them closer to their best self. And they may not always like to hear it or know it. Kindness is not something that everybody is ready to receive. Okay, that's the difference. But it's to share generously with others. To share generously with others and having a tender heart. So when you come for things because your intentions are good and you really want good, you really want a positive change, you really want a positive outcome for yourself, for that person, whatever it may be. Again, it's all about the environment. Kindness. It's going to embody kindness. It's going to embody goodness, which means it's going to speak truth. It's going to be honest. And it's going to do what's right. It's going to make sure it's going to lead you in the right path, really guide you to what is right, what is good, what is truthful and honest and integrable. Is that a word? Integrable. Whatever. It's gonna create an environment that holds you to integrity. That's better. At least I know that's a word. It's gonna have joy. It's really gonna make you feel like, I don't want to say happy is fleeting. Joy is something that, happy is a fleeting feeling. I feel like joy is really kind of a choice. Like, you can choose to be happy too, but I feel like happy is actual feeling that can come and go, but joy is more so a choice, a way of being. Cheerfulness based on goodness and not our circumstances. See? So joy is a way of being. Happiness is a feeling, but joy is a way of being. It is not based off of your circumstances, which happiness is. Joy is like, no matter if the whole world is falling apart and on flames, like, this inside here, this environment that you're creating is the best place on earth. My dad has this saying, the party is wherever I'm at. It is literally, I got this internal party, this internal like wow that I carry, that no matter where I go, I am full of it. Like, I'm full of everything great. So that's what joy is. And then another thing it's going to embody is gentleness. Okay? This is when you know your higher self, your intuition is leading you, that you're listening to. Because there can be lots of little things out there. Make sure you're listening to the right one. Test it. It's got to have these characteristics. It's going to have gentleness is a humble attitude, a willingness to listen, and is a willingness to listen to the wisdom of others, and that's actual wisdom too. So it is really being allowed. Okay, there was this thing that said feedback is neither positive or negative. And with this, it's taking it and seeing it, even if it's something that you don't really want to hear, taking your ego out of it and letting it enter, and letting your intuition, your higher self, your soul self sort through it. The divinity in you sort through it. Rather than you letting your ego be like, I don't want to hear it. They can't tell me about me. Being quiet, letting it take in, so therefore let it filter. If something resonates, it'll stay. If it does not, it'll leave. Push it out. That anytime somebody want to tell you about how to do something, now I understand some people can go overboard and keep telling you things that you could just walk away and say, stop, I don't want to hear no more. But there's nothing wrong with constructive criticism. It's to construct. And you can let it build whatever you want to build. You are the constructor. You're the one who's building it. You just take the criticism and build whatever you need to build with it. Hopefully, but just let it be for your higher self. Let it be for your good. That's like that. That is like my personal only hardcore requirement. I mean, you gonna do what you gonna do, but yeah, let it be for your good, not for your detriment. And if you hadn't guessed already, again, like I said, I am Christian, so those are biblical principles. Those are fruits of the spirit. But at the same time, those are just facts. So the characteristics that your intuition will embody, if it is for your higher self, if it is your higher self, will be peace, patience, kindness, self-control, faithfulness, love, goodness, gentleness, and joy. It will embody all those things. And it will prove it to you time and time and time again. And then once you develop that relationship with your intuition, it will be just as loud as any voice. It'll be like you'll have such a relationship that you'll know what it is. Anytime you get that feeling, you hear that small, gentle voice, you hear that head voice, or you think the head voice puts a thought into your head, you'll recognize, oh, that's my higher self. That's my intuition coming out. And that's going to help you build a great relationship of trust with it. And I want to stress this, because when we talk about these things in theory, it's like, oh, they sound so happy and good and lovely. But in theory, it might be like, when you eat healthy and maybe you've been eating a lot of trash and junk, and then all of a sudden you start wanting to eat healthy again, and some things taste like actual dirt. It may be like that. And it's like you got to train yourself to like the actual taste of dirt just so you can eat healthy. So I say that to say this. It may not be fun practicing these things. Once your intuition really starts to speak up and you get comfortable with it, or even in the journey of getting comfortable with it, mastering it, it may not be fun, because it might tell you to not do things that you really want to do. It might to kind of guide you. It's your internal compass. It's your soul's compass to keep you on the right path. And it may be contradictory of the things that make sense to you. And you may not always want to follow it. And even if you want to follow it, you may not have the discipline to follow it. You may not have the stamina to follow it all the time. But you're gonna have to. It's a muscle. You have to work it out. You have to stretch it. You have to get familiar with it. If you move a little too much this way, how it feels, and until you can get to a point where it's strong enough and you can move without it hurting. You can work it out and stretch it, as you need to. But as anything, getting to know anything, the learning curve is not always fun. It's not always feel good. So I don't want to make it seem like as you're practicing and learning what your intuition, your internal soul compass, as you're learning your higher self, your God light, the God within, the Holy Spirit within you, whatever term you may use, as you're learning it, it's not always going to be peachy keen. But trust it. Because even in that moment, if it doesn't feel like it's serving an immediate gratification that you want, or something that you really, really desire, it's best for you in mind. And you just want to make sure, again, that you're learning it, and you're developing that relationship on solid ground with it. And like I said, you still want to test it and make sure it's embodying all those things. But once it's showing time after time that's embodying all these things, and once you because you're going to internally embody all these things too, the more you get to know it. But yeah, always remember, that's pretty much it. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Always remember, my kind of design your own kind of life, and never forget to dream. Love you guys. Until next time, my vibe tribe, my loves. Bye-bye.
Dang, it's just getting loose here. Getting loose with it. Get low. Okay, so yes, this tea for the week, but was okay. Applicable. I cannot talk.